stricter vetting debate rekindles after Afghan resettlement concerns. A major debate over U.S. vetting procedures for Afghan evacuees resurfaced during a televised segment featuring Middle East strategist and former U.S. Army Special Forces officer Jim Hansen. Speaking alongside host John Scott, Hansen argued that during the Afghanistan withdrawal, the United States rushed to bring in individuals who assisted American forces. But corners were cut, and mistakes were made. He stressed that noble intentions do not always translate into sound policy, especially when the U.S. cannot fully validate whether evacuees can safely and successfully adapt to life in a fully westernized society. According to Hansen, the Trump administration's proposed return to extreme vetting would mean deeper scrutiny into personal beliefs, past locations, and detailed background checks. Standards, he says, are not discriminatory but rooted in the reality that some cultures are different and may affect assimilation potential. The discussion revisited a past exchange between White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy. Doocy questioned reports of an evacuated Afghan individual in Qatar who was found to have suspected ISIS ties. Psaki responded by defending the U.S. vetting process as stringent and thorough, reiterating that individual cases could not be publicly discussed but insisting that background checks were taken incredibly seriously. John Scott raised the possibility, suggested by DHS leadership, that radicalization may have occurred after entry into the U.S., complicating the challenge of preventing such threats altogether. Hansen pointed to Afghanistan's long history of tribal conflict, arguing that it is unrealistic to expect individuals from such environments to magically transform into model citizens once resettled in the U.S. He emphasized that the current administration has paused migration from certain countries due to the inability to verify identity records, asserting that some nations do not create the kind of people who add value to American society. Echoing that viewpoint, a referenced congressman criticized past policies that allowed large numbers of evacuees without sufficient oversight, suggesting that many may never assimilate due to cultural barriers. The strategist insisted that reassessing individuals already in the United States is necessary, regardless of how difficult the task may be. He argued that the U.S. should first halt new admissions, then begin evaluating existing Afghan entrants under stricter criteria, whether they can contribute positively, whether their backgrounds support successful assimilation, and whether interviews demonstrate personal commitment. In his view, the default should no longer be anyone can come here, but rather that applicants must prove why they deserve entry. The segment concluded with Hansen connecting the broader immigration debate to recent violent protests in New York City. He claimed that certain groups, with alleged support from left-wing organizations, aimed to undermine the U.S. rule of law and weaken the nation through open border activism. He characterized these efforts as attempts to diminish American prosperity and subject the country to globalist control, vowing that such approaches would be resisted.